First year of your marriage, 5 relationship problems all couples will definitely face. Hi friends, welcome to Marriage Realities, a comprehensive relationship channel. Today's video is all about the problems you will face in the first year of your marriage. The first year of your marriage makes you all confused about the status of your relationship, doesn't it? In the initial days of your married life, the physical proximity of your spouse excites you. It feels wonderful to be living with your spouse whom you love and treasure as your own. And the excitement and exhilaration you experience in the initial days of your marriage makes you smug that you've married the right person. You're also sure that your married life would be rosy and problem-free all through. But things take a dramatic turn after a few months of your marriage. Soon, you begin to have many doubts about your spouse, even in the first year of your marriage. You're taken aback by the many changes that happens in your life after your marriage. You're stunned by the responsibilities you're loaded with. You're nonplussed when you become answerable to your spouse. And you cannot believe that there's an unknown side of your spouse. You're shocked by the habits of your spouse. You're dazed to see that your spouse is not exactly the person you loved. Can you see that as days go by, the first year of your marriage becomes confusing and baffling to you? There are times when you feel whether you've done the right thing in marrying your spouse. It is because your spouse seems totally different from the person you loved and married. Well, do not worry. You're not alone in feeling so. Almost all couples are confused and baffled in the first year of their marriage. Do you know why? When you marry a spouse, you have all sort of rosy dreams about your married life. You feel nothing could go wrong between you. But you're stunned when your marriage turns out to be completely in contrast to your expectations. Ouch, that really hurts, I told myself when the new slippers I bought cut into my flesh. My new slippers felt too tight and uncomfortable, and so I took it off. Do not remove the slippers. It feels tight and biting because it is new. But if you keep wearing it, your feet will get adjusted to it. The strap of the slippers will loosen and you will no longer feel the bite. My mother, who was watching, told me. How true she was. Within a week of continuously wearing the new slippers, my feet got adjusted to it. And I no longer felt my slippers biting into my flesh. Are you wondering why I'm talking about my slippers in this video? Let me explain. Everything that is new takes time to get adjusted with. Likewise, your marriage too takes time to settle down. As a newly married couple, you will face a lot of relationship problems in your first year of marriage. If you feel aggravated by your initial relationship problems, you're going to miss living a fulfilled married life. When two people from diversified family background unite to coexist together, it's only natural that certain relationship problems creep up between you to disturb your mental peace. And it is sad that you do not wait for your marriage to settle down. Instead, you become impatient and frustrated that your marriage will not work. And in your intolerance, you resort to the extreme step of separating from your spouse. This has become a common scenario in almost all modern marriages. How can you understand your spouse within a few months of your marriage? It will take some time for you to understand your spouse, as his or her upbringing is entirely different from yours. So it's only natural that your spouse will have a contrasting way of thinking, doing things, and approaching life. If you make a big deal about these differences, your marriage cannot survive. Your spouse will never be your clone. Your spouse will be imperfect in many ways. But you should also realize that you two are not perfect and that you two disappoint your spouse in many ways. Being perfectly adjusting to the imperfections of your spouse is the only way to make your marriage work. Here are the common relationship issues you will face in the first year of your marriage. The number one shock you have in the first year of your marriage is all about the personal habits of your spouse. During your love days, you never really know the personal habits of your spouse. It is because your spouse puts his or her best foot forward to get into your good books. Naturally, you are mesmerized by the outer attractive facade of your spouse. But after your marriage, it means living with your spouse 24/7. It is now your spouse sheds all his or her pretense and shows his or her real self to you. And it is a reality which shocks you. You're repulsed to know that your spouse snores. You dislike it when your spouse slurps while eating. You're irritated to find that your spouse is messy and disorganized. And to top it all, your spouse has filthy personal habits. You're taken aback when your spouse sheds the neat looks he or she presented before you during your love days. You're shocked to find your spouse looking completely disheveled and unkempt when at home. So you lose your fancy for your spouse and feel she is unattractive and unappealing. It is a fact that most of you feel utterly disappointed with the personal habits of your spouse even as you enter the first year of your marriage. The number 2 shock you face in the first year of your marriage is the diversification in your money dealings. Before your marriage, you're so used to handling all your hard-earned money by yourself. You were not answerable to anyone. You spent at your will and no one questioned you about it. But right in the first year of your marriage, your spouse makes you answerable to him or her by questioning your spending of your own money. Your spouse also places restrictions in the way you spend your money. Your spouse ridicules you when you buy things you like. You no longer have control over the money you earn. This makes you feel cheated and leached off your hard-earned money by your spouse. Do you know the initial relationship problems you face in the first year of your marriage is money issues? The number 3 shock you have in the first year of your marriage is your in-laws problems. Your in-laws create tons of unwanted ripples between you and your spouse in the first year of your marriage. After your marriage, the parents of your spouse play a vital role in your married life. You just cannot avoid your in-laws as not important as they play an indirect role in deciding the happiness you enjoy in your relationship with your spouse. Often, you find that your in-laws instigate your spouse against you. You're taken aback when they emotionally blackmail your spouse. Naturally, you become wild with anger when your in-laws ridicule you behind your back. When your in-laws intrude into your family life, you feel helpless and frustrated by the lack of privacy in your family life. Your dressing, your behavior come under the scanning eyes of your in-laws. And you do not like it a wee bit. Isn't it a fact that you often fight with your spouse regarding your in-laws? The number 4 shock you have in the first year of your marriage is the frequent fights between you. Both often fight for even the most innocuous reasons. The way you have to adjust your spouse makes you feel irritated and frustrated. When your spouse makes negative comments about your way of doing things, it makes your hackles rise in anger. Instead of overlooking it as part of your marriage, you lock horns with your spouse. Every diversified thoughts of your spouse makes you feel cheated and disappointed with your married life. Almost all your expectations are crushed in the first year of your marriage. You longed for a rosy relationship with your spouse, but you're faced with a thorny relationship. So you often fight it out with your spouse regarding the differences you have with him or her. The number 5 shock you have in the first year of your marriage is the dominance and control of your spouse over you. Before your marriage, you did things the way you liked. You dressed the way you liked. You made decisions the way you liked. But after the first year of your marriage, you're irritated when your spouse tries to take over your life by intruding into your personal zone. Your spouse tries to change you according to his or her wishes. Your spouse intrudes into your way of doing things. Your spouse often makes decisions for you. You're angry when you cannot do a thing without asking the permission of your spouse. When your spouse tries to dominate and control you, it creates tons of relationship problems between you. Can you see the volume of problems you face in the first year of your marriage? These are not reasons for you to feel alarmed that your marriage is not working. Your relationship is just suffering from initial teething problems. So, never lose your marriage by being impatient and intolerant towards your spouse. It will take years before your marriage slides into a comfortable and cozy togetherness between you. Did this video make you understand why you face relationship issues in the first year of your marriage? Marriage realities will have many such relationship eye-openers. Subscribe to my channel to understand your marriage in a new light. Press the bell icon for updates about my latest relationship videos. Make love forever until death do us part your relationship goal.